Tonight, justice served the sentence for an evil father who tried to kill his daughter in a vindictive act.
Also, vision of a brutal city brawl released in a bid to track down the attackers.
An iconic Adelaide Italian eatery targeted by a senseless serial vandal.
Food for thought, how ready-made meals could become part of SA school life.
Plus, Ken Hinkley on why he never feared losing his job.
Live from Adelaide, 7 News with Rosanna Mangiarelli and Mike Smithson.
Good evening. A vindictive southern suburbs father who tried to kill his own daughter to get back at his wife has been sentenced to 14 years jail.
It comes as sordid new details are revealed about his behaviour in the lead-up to the despicable crime.
As father of two, Sean Mate languishes in a jail cell. His shattered family is left to pick up the pieces.
Nobody wins out of this. This is not a great scenario for anyone.
In July 2020, his marriage falling apart and unable to face the prospect of divorce, he tried to murder his 3-year-old daughter. The pair found clinging to life inside a barricaded room of their Eden Hills home, a gas cylinder and hoses found nearby. The motive? Revenge. This was a pre-planned, premeditated, inexcusable crime. Your intention was to take your child's life as an act of vindictiveness against your wife, a desire to inflict the maximum hurt. Earlier that night, Mate showed his wife some family photographs, telling her, "This is what you're going to miss out on, and then this is the last time I'm going to kiss you." Mate had been seeing a psychologist for his bizarre behaviour before that fateful July night. The court heard that in the months leading up to the crime, Mate was cautioned by police for stalking one of his wife's friends and sending her a number of gifts, including a sex toy. Mate's little girl, now almost 5, is said to have no memory of the events that night.
He's doing as best as we can expect. It has been very tough for us.
Mate's backdated non-parole period means he'll be eligible for release in July 2029. Deanna Williams, 7 News.
Police have released confronting video of a brutal attack outside a city night spot. The victim, a 21-year-old man from Campbelltown, was punched in the face, then kicked in the head while lying unconscious on the ground. He was taken to hospital with serious injuries. The assault happened in the early hours of Sunday, July the 3rd, on the corner of Crippen Terrace and Morfett Street. Police are hunting 2 suspects, a man and a woman seen in the video.
New owners of an iconic Adelaide restaurant say they don't know why they're being targeted by a vandal. The same man has struck twice in a week, his senseless attacks caught on camera.
A shocking attack on La Tratte.
It's such a fantastic restaurant. It's terrible.
New co-owner of La Trattoria in the city, Billy Duff, was inside when the vandal struck late last night.
Someone came along and pelted eggs all over our windows, and then they tipped some sort of oil along the footpath right outside the restaurant.
It's not the first time this week. On Sunday night, the same man was caught on camera during another random rampage. He was wearing a hoodie and face mask as he pelted bananas at the pizza bar. He then scratched a front window with the words, "Billy is a pedo" or pedophile.
I know it's not true, and half of Adelaide would know it's not true. When there's no grounds to it, I don't care, you know. They can say whatever they like. It's not going to affect me in any way.
While police are trying to identify the destructive vandal, it's business as usual for the iconic Italian restaurant that's hosted stars like Mick Jagger, Michael Hutchence and Bon Jovi. Today's loyal customers were shocked by the attacks.
Why people would do that, go stoop so low, it's just wrong.
I think that's pretty shocking that someone would do that. This is an Adelaide institution.
It is pretty despicable, and people are doing it tough.
The owners say they have no idea who's responsible for the attacks or why they're doing it. Among the new owners, former Crows boss Stephen Trigg.
I just think it's someone with a mental health problem, and I wish them all the best. I hope they can get better.
Peter Caldecott, 7 News.
A man's been rushed to hospital after falling 4 metres at a Craigburn farm building site. The man in his 30s plunged into a shaft on Blackwood Park Boulevard. Paramedics treated him for serious injuries. He's now in the Flinders Medical Centre in a stable condition.
New townhouses have been built north of the city for South Australians who have jobs but can't find an affordable rental. The not-for-profit builder purchased the land from the state government and has its sights on more.
For working South Australians struggling to find a place to live, a new door is opening.
There's an increasing gap in the housing market for people who are living on minimum wage.
Westside Housing's built 10 new affordable townhouses at Kilburn, offering discounted rent of $320 a week for 2 bedrooms. Already, more than 2,300 people have viewed the listings online.
All of the demand is coming from people from smaller households, and the private market keeps banging out 3 and 4 bedroom houses.
The not-for-profit builder purchased the land from SA Housing Authority, taking a block of 2 houses and turning it into 10.
We're hopeful that we can do more of those.
But she acknowledges thousands desperate for housing will miss out, including 21-year-old mother of 2, Rochelle Reiki. Her young family's been told they have 8 days to be out of their private rental at Hackham West.
It's heartbreaking. All I want is a safe place, a home, so I can raise my children.
She said she's applied for hundreds of rentals in the past 2 months, but has been knocked back.
I emailed our Premier and Nat Cook, and I haven't heard anything from them.
The government's committed to building 400 new public houses, but there are around 17,000 people on the wait list. Construction's underway on around 50 dwellings. Andrea Nicholas, 7 News.
Police are hunting an arsonist who torched a vacant house at Elizabeth Downs. The Andrews Road property erupted just after 7 a.m. after a fire was lit in the kitchen.
Huge orange flames through that front window there. It covered the whole window. It was scary.
MFS crews quickly brought the blaze under control.
There's an ambitious push to abandon lunchboxes and introduce ready-made meals in South Australian schools. Local university researchers believe offering every child the same food would help improve eating habits and could cost next to nothing.
9-year-old Harvey's appetite is growing.
Grab your lunchboxes out, please.
Now we're sort of packing 2 scrolls and an apple and a pouch of yogurt.
And it can be difficult for Mum Anna to keep up.
I'd love to see school-provided lunches, not just for the nutritional benefits, but also for me, the convenience.
An overwhelming number of parents agree. That's according to a nationwide survey by Flinders University researchers.
Parents said that their children would likely benefit from having the same meal as other students and being encouraged to eat new foods.
The scheme would work in a similar way to those in other countries, where each child lines up to receive a daily meal. If adopted here, researchers say it could cost parents as little as $4 per child per day.
We've already got airline companies who do catering, we've got private providers, and we've got canteens who can cook food on site. So it actually gives schools a lot of flexibility.
Although this bold plan is still in its infancy, the Flinders University researchers are confident there's an appetite for it in schools.
We've been talking to some of the senior policy advisors for the South Australian Commissioner for Children and Young People, and there's certainly something that they're willing to explore.
The idea will now be taken to a series of conferences to garner support. Lauren Rose, 7 News.
The world's biggest fast food company is at the centre of one of Australia's most significant wage theft claims. Federal court action could net hundreds of thousands of McDonald's employees up to $250 million.
It's claimed while McDonald's was advertising, its staff were working without a break they were entitled to.
We'll be alleging that 10-minute breaks were not given to those people over a period of about 6 years.
A paid 10-minute break for working 4 hours or more.
We're a family of over 106,000 employees.
Brooke used to be part of that family.
In the dead middle of summer, working over fries, hot oil vats.
At 3 different McDonald's.
I was never made aware that there were paid rest breaks. We were allowed to go to the toilet and we were allowed to have a drink of water, but we were never allowed to go have 10 minutes to ourselves. They just said, oh, we don't really do that here.
This mega action now is just drawing a line in the sand. Enough's enough.
The union's action covers nearly 1,000 current and former McDonald's sites, saying more than 250,000 workers, almost 2% of Australia's workforce, are owed $250 million compensation. The union says it will be pushing for McDonald's to be penalised, which could also cost the fast food giant hundreds of millions of dollars. McDonald's says it'll be fighting the case. In a statement saying it believes its restaurants complied with applicable instruments, provided rest breaks to employees, we are very mindful of our obligations under applicable employment laws. The federal court action could take a year. Paul Kanak, 7 News.
Stroke sufferers are getting out of hospital and back on their feet sooner thanks to a new surgery performed only at the Royal Adelaide. The procedure is time sensitive, so this stroke week, doctors are urging everyone to look for the early signs.
Ronnie Opitz was watching TV when his stroke symptoms hit.
I started slurring and she said my face was sort of drooping to the left and it was like I drank 4 cartons of beer.
His partner called an ambulance and within an hour and a half he was at the RA ready for surgery.
I couldn't even move my arm. Like I'm telling it to move and it's just not moving. That was scary.
The procedure he had was relatively new. The doctor used an artery in his groin to gain access to the blood clot in his brain, and it was all done while he was awake.
Didn't feel it go through my body at all. And then I felt like a weird headache, like really specific. And then the guy said, I've got it. And then when he said that, the pain went away.
More than 80% of the time, the clot can be very successfully removed, as it was in Ronnie's case.
The 51-year-old was home within 3 days, and aside from the introduction of blood-thinning medication, he has no lingering effects from the stroke.
Just miraculous to see the effect of this treatment and the reduction in death and disability.
Doctors estimate that $1,000 is added in societal health costs every minute a clot remains in the brain. So this stroke week, they're urging people to recognise the signs.
If you've got face weakness, arm weakness, speech disturbance, call 000 immediately.
And while Ronnie wouldn't wish it on anyone, he has described it as a stroke of luck.
It's changed my life. It's just a big wake-up call because obviously I was a bit of a drinker and a heavy smoker and I've completely changed that around.
Kimberly Pratt, 7 News.
South Australia's daily COVID cases have fallen to a 5.5-month low. There were just under 1,500 new infections overnight and hospital admissions also dropped. Sadly, though, another 12 deaths have been reported, including a man in his 50s.
Donald Trump is urging the FBI to release the warrant used in the raid on his Florida home, and he may just get his way. Federal agents may have been looking for classified documents about nuclear weapons, but now there's speculation the former president has a rat in his inner circle.
Under pressure to explain an FBI raid at Donald Trump's home.
I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly.
The search at Mar-a-Lago was unprecedented, rattling Republicans and the former president. Just learned that agents went through the First Lady's closets and rummaged through her clothing and personal items, Trump wrote today. Surprisingly, left area in a relative mess. Wow. The Justice Department is reportedly investigating the removal and handling of classified documents from the White House when Trump left office. Tonight, the Washington Post reporting that included nuclear documents. Trump claims the government could have had whatever they wanted if we had it. They asked us to put an additional lock on a certain area. Done. Everything was fine, better than that of most previous presidents. And then, out of nowhere and with no warning, Mar-a-Lago was raided. Did a tip come from within?
Donald Trump probably does have the snitch in his midst.
If you know where the safe is and you know the documents are in 10 boxes in the basement, you are pretty close to the president.
The Justice Department is now taking the rare step of making public what was in the warrant and what was seized from Mar-a-Lago. A judge giving the Trump team 24 hours to respond if they want to keep those details private.
Why is it that it's only the Trump family and Donald Trump that seems to continue to have these witch hunts against him?
Upholding the rule of law means applying the law evenly, without fear or favor. Under my watch, that is precisely what the Justice Department is doing.
In the United States, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
The AFL hasn't ruled out overhauling its tribunal system after a bombshell appeal decision cleared Carlton captain Patrick Cripps. The marathon hearing cuts to the heart of footy's concussion debate.
Carlton skipper spent last night on the couch, tuning into a live stream of the tribunal, a marathon hearing that lasted 4.5 hours.
I just had dinner and just put it on in the background, and I'd never been through something like that.
Cripps's too-much ban overturned on a legality that he didn't bump. The verdict delivered at 10:40 p.m.
I was pumped. The team, the legal team did a great job.
Oh, he's the captain, so you like your captain out there.
It not only keeps Cripps eligible for the Brownlow medal, but free to lead Carlton's September charge. Needing to beat Melbourne or Collingwood to break a 9-year finals drought, Cripps cleared despite his Brisbane opponents being concussed.
Oh, you can clearly see on the vision that I went for the ball the whole time.
Whilst it's the right move to be trying to remove as many of these concussions as we can, I think there'll always be grey in our game.
Oh, well, I hope it gives actually more clarity in some ways. I mean, we always felt like as a player, you have an ability to be able to contest the ball.
The AFL accepts the controversial call, which flies in the face of the league's tough stance on concussion. In a statement, it says the health and safety of our players is of paramount importance, and while it was too early to say if the decision would prompt any changes, the AFL would not shy away from taking such action if it was needed.
If Patrick has got off the charge because they believe that he didn't intend to do that, I think it's a good thing.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
Now to breaking news, and the legal bid by an ex-AFL star to play amateur footy this weekend has taken yet another turn. As we go to air, a tribunal is hearing a striking charge against Broadview's Jesse White for a second time. The former Pie and Swan successfully appealed against his original 3-game suspension in the Supreme Court, disputing some of the evidence used to issue the penalty. But the Amateur League has hauled White back before the tribunal tonight, where it will rely on this vision to tell the tale.
Watch this space. Now What's coming up in sports, Oda?
Well, Ken Hinckley fronted the media today, obviously following on from last night where the chairman, David Koch, gave him assurance that his job is safe for next season. Well, a key forward will get another tilt at the top level for Port. At West Lakes, Matty Nix has had some confronting conversations with out-of-contract players. The club keeps its eye on the future. And an all-Aussie matchup at the Canadian Open with Nick Kyrgios taking the win in the build-up to the US Open. All that, plenty more, guys, coming up in Sports soon.
Catch you a bit later. Thanks, Soda. An Adelaide musician has returned from far, far away to inspire students from his old school. That's next.
Also, how a new Adelaide supercomputer will help defend our nation.
A gunman demands money from his own bank account during a 7-hour hostage siege.
And later, why customers won't be paying more at IGA and Foodland supermarkets. A South Australian musician instrumental in bringing to life one of the world's most iconic movie soundtracks has returned home.
Horn player Andrew Bain brought the Force to a special masterclass at the Adelaide Town Hall.
An out-of-this-world experience, orchestrated by a star musician. Renowned horn player and Adelaide boy Andrew Bain has led an interstellar career. He can be heard on numerous Hollywood film scores, including John Williams' Star Wars. But today he was back in his hometown, striking the right chord with students from his old high school.
It's amazing to be back and playing in front of a very friendly audience.
He went to Brighton and he was in our position that we are today, and it's inspiring to see that he could get to where he was.
After graduating school, Andrew was accepted into the Elder Conservatorium. He went on to perform across the globe before settling down in the United States.
Just to see where music can take you, to be able to perform, on a big stage like the Adelaide Town Hall, and also, in my case, get to play with the Los Angeles Philharmonic.
People always say there's not many careers in performing arts or music or anything, but I guess he's living proof that there is.
It's not just familiar film scores Andrew works on, he's also an accomplished solo artist. Students today the first to hear Paul Dean's new Tragedy to Triumph, which touches on the Black Summer bushfires.
This feeling of terror, really, and trying to overcome the bushfire.
It was a bit surreal, very inspirational.
Accompanied by the ASO, Andrew will perform the new piece this weekend. Nathan Regter, 7 News.
Adelaide is now home to a powerful new cyber weapon for the Army, which will be critical in defending the nation. The supercomputer can conduct simulations that will help us develop weapons and machinery.
Adelaide's Edinburgh Defence Precinct, now home to one of the world's most powerful supercomputers.
This is a transformational technology.
Technology so secret we weren't allowed to film it. The government providing these images instead, saying the computer will be used for designing and testing future warfare systems, including nuclear-powered submarines.
Science and technology creates strategic surprise and avoids strategic surprise.
That now more important than ever as we enter a new era of competition and conflict.
China is seeking to shape the world around it in a way that we've not seen before.
Experts say Beijing's missile tests and live fire drills in the Taiwan Strait after US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei is proof of that.
The lesson of the last week or two is that it doesn't take much of a pretext at all for China to be very, very irate.
Taiwan launching its own military exercises in response.
We will firmly defend our sovereignty and national security.
With foreign interference and espionage now more prevalent in Australia than ever before, the Chinese government is also viewed as the biggest threat to Australia's national security.
These are attempts to use the so-called grey zone, which falls short of war.
But, he says, go hand in hand with Beijing's trade bans on Australian exports. Rob Scott, 7 News.
A gunman in Lebanon has been arrested after he held up a bank that wouldn't allow him to withdraw his own money to pay his father's hospital bills. He took up to 10 people hostage and threatened to set himself on fire. In 2019, Lebanon imposed strict rules blocking many residents from retrieving their own funds.
Actor Anne Hesh isn't expected to survive after a fiery crash last Friday. In a statement, the star's family says she remains in a coma with a severe brain injury. She's only being kept on life support to determine if her organs can be donated. Police say preliminary blood tests have revealed drugs in her system.
Wildfires have swept through central Portugal, forcing hundreds of people to flee. Firefighters have struggled to put out the flames at a time the country's battling a sweltering heatwave. With temperatures above 40 degrees, major blazes that started last week have reignited due to strong winds.
The Australian energy market operator will be given sweeping powers to allow it to force companies to release gas in the event of supply shortages. Energy ministers from all states and territories agreed to the plan in Canberra, which aims to prevent future power outages.
It's fair to say the challenges remain. The challenges remain this year, they remain next year, in the immediate future.
Ministers also agreed to speed up the rollout of renewable energy technology.
Weather-wise, it's been another soggy 24 hours at times across Adelaide.
Amelia joins us with the details, and Mills, great news indeed. We've got more wet weather to come.
Mike, we do. We've got more showers moving up the Gulf towards the metro area tonight as a low pressure system slowly moves across SA. It's wrapping in plenty of moisture and it turned those northerly winds that we've seen this week southwesterly today. Overnight, we had another decent drink as well. Aldgate Creek picked up 34 millimetres. Ashton had 31. 17 fell over Belair, 13 in Burnside, and the city had almost 6 after another 1.5 millimetres today, taking our total for the month so far to 31. Now, we can expect more showers tomorrow too. So if you're heading to the footy in the afternoon, there's around a 60% chance you'll see one around the first bounce between the Crows and North Melbourne. Now, there is a dry day on the way, though. I'll have more on that in the full forecast very soon, Mike.
Thanks, Mills. IGA and Foodland supermarkets have been told not to raise shelf prices as customers face soaring inflation. That's next.
Also, how paid internships could help tackle a national teacher shortage.
A scorned woman extracts some very public revenge on a cheating partner.
And ahead, how to access healthcare in your home, what you're entitled to.
The owners of supermarket chains IGA and Foodland are warning the independents not to hike prices for fear of losing customers to their biggest competitors. It's hoped that could spark a much-needed supermarket showdown.
It's been an expensive year for shoppers as the cost of our supermarket staples soars.
There's still more to come in the months ahead.
But relief could be in sight. Metcash, the wholesaler of IGA and Foodland stores, has warned pushing prices even higher could push customers out the door.
We don't want to lose those market share gains that we've been able to make over the past few years.
But many of us are already changing the way we shop.
Australian households are tightening their belts. They're expecting ongoing price rises.
Using strategies like buying cheaper home brand labels, buying in bulk, buying more basic items.
Vegan or gluten-free things in particular, and they'd always been expensive, but they're sort of extortionate now.
And just cutting back overall.
I pretty much shop to a list and menu plan, but now I'm just a lot stricter on myself.
Coles says it has cut the price of around 1 in 20 products since January, while rival Woolies reduced prices on around 300 essential items in May. But neither grocery giant would tell 7 News just how many products now have higher prices.
We're seeing customers even change where they shop. They're buying online if they think they can get a discount. They're certainly buying on special, but they're shifting to the discount retailers.
A shift that could be short-lived, with hopes growing that grocery prices could level out by Christmas.
We'd like to think that the worst is now behind us and pricing will start to stabilise in this next 6-month period.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
Paid internships could be made available for final year teaching students. Education ministers from around the country met for roundtable discussions in Canberra to address crippling nationwide staff shortages in the sector.
We all want to pay teachers better. You know, we've all got limited budgets to do that.
The federal government, in partnership with schools, will look at creating a national action plan to better support teachers.
4 children have been found safe and well after they were taken from their North Queensland home. Police issued a national amber alert after a man took the siblings. Nearly 24 hours later, they were delivered at home to their mother. The 28-year-old accused of taking them is still on the run. Joshua Carter is known to the children and police.
A man has been outed as a cheater in a brutally public way. A full-page ad in a local Queensland newspaper now has the whole town asking, who are Jenny and Steve?
She's not your average page 3 girl. Jenny, the woman behind the ad that's got tongues wagging, and Steve looking over his shoulder.
Well, Jenny's not a happy chappy then, is she?
Sucks to be him. Dear Steve, she writes, I hope you're happy with her. Now the whole town will know what a filthy cheater you are. They certainly know what he did, but as for who he is...
We don't know Steve and Jenny. I feel sorry for Steve, though.
The amount of Steves that probably is so confused.
My dad's name is Steve.
But Jenny saved the best, or worst, depending on which side you sit, for last. P.S. I bought this ad using your credit card.
The bottom line's funny. I like the bottom line. But I think it's a bit petty.
Mackay and Whit Sunday Life say they didn't charge the card, but insist the ad is legit.
We had a little discussion in the office as to whether or not we were going to print it.
Jenny apparently has put an ad in the paper.
Oh, for real? No. And news travels fast, exploding on social media. Please tell me a Jenny tagged a Steve in this thread. She did, but not the Jenny. So all my friends are aware I am not the legend Jenny, and my Steve has not been bad. That's one Steve crossed off the list. To the real one, it might be time to cancel that credit card. Michael Coombs, 7 News.
I think Steve's in deep doo-doos.
Oh yeah, I say good on Jenny.
So would I. Well, from medical checkups to help with cooking has never been easier nor cheaper to get in-home care. That's next.
Also around the world in 48 hours, one traveller's red-eye record.
And magpies play havoc at kids' sport, leaving authorities with a dilemma.
Well, after COVID infections put our hospitals and aged care system under strain, more Australians are choosing home care.
From doctor check-ups to rehab, even help with the cooking has never been more accessible, easier and cheaper.
89-year-old Richard Leeson wants to stay in his home as long as possible. He had a stroke 5 years ago and needs a hand.
Peeling stuff is a terrible job, particularly with my impaired left hand.
Made possible through the Commonwealth subsidised home care packages program. It works with support providers like Five Good Friends.
It takes so much pressure off of not only the people that we support, but their families.
Services include nursing, physical therapies and at-home doctor treatments. There's also assistance for cleaning, gardening, cooking, bathing and grooming, as well as specialised taxi services and even options for social outings or visits to stay connected. There is a daily fee of around $11 as well as additional charges set by the provider. The application is completed online. 275,000 home care packages will be available to Australian seniors by the end of the year. Each application can take anywhere between 3 and 6 months to assess. There are also options through private health. Australian Unity offers physical therapies, personal care, rehab, as well as telehealth. Bupa includes chemotherapy, dialysis and aged care support, while Frank has hospital in the home, which is an alternative to hospital admission, rehab and chronic disease management programs.
About 82% of the health insurance providers on our panel have healthcare at home in some way, shape or form.
It's a quality of life, making sure you live your life as comfortably as you possibly can.
For more details, head to our Facebook page. Georgia Terry, 7 News.
It's 150 years since Jules Verne published Around the World in 80 Days. Well, now a modern adventurer has completed the same journey in less than 48 hours. The economy class Odyssey is being assessed as a world record.
It's both his origin and his destination.
Los Angeles International Airport.
Umit Sabanji lifted off from LAX on Wednesday, a world record attempt at the fastest circumnavigation of Earth on scheduled commercial flights. The first leg took him to Doha before he journeyed to Brisbane, arriving on Qatar Airways last night. Still smiling after such a long journey.
It is 32 hours and 46 minutes.
And a long way still to go. The Londoner's target time around the world in 48 hours, breaking the previous record of 50 hours set back in 1980.
I'm tired. It's good fun and I enjoy it.
Not just a challenge, he's doing it to support a UK cancer charity. It took 2 months planning and Brisbane wasn't initially on his radar.
Brisbane has got really good connection to the North America.
And he studied airport schedules, including reliability of services. Not a bad advertisement for Brisbane Airport, not that he stayed very long.
I'll hopefully see you in Brisbane again, and I'm here for holiday. Bye-bye, Australia!
A Qantas jet took him on the final leg across the pond and into history.
46 hours, 23 minutes.
Well inside the target, although it still needs certification by Guinness Records. Now for the jet lag. Max Futcher, 7 News.
There's been an attempted break-in at the Russian embassy in Canberra by a kangaroo, which got its head through the gates but not its hips. It tried again and eventually hopped off. There's speculation Skippy was trying to defect, but it's not a red kangaroo. Get it? Yep. Maybe he had a message, here's another one, in his diplomatic pouch.
Maybe. A junior footy match has been disrupted by an angry magpie. The swooping bird shut down play and presented the team on Victoria's Mornington Peninsula with a dilemma. Being a protected species, there's little the aptly named under-11 magpies can do other than work on their speed and agility. That'd get them running, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
Soda joins us again, and Ken Hinckley's had his say about next year, Soda.
Well, the job is safe, as we know. We heard that right here on 7 last night from David Koch. But Ken, very pragmatic about the future. He knew what was going on all along, I believe. Right, also coming up, we reveal why the young South Aussie star copped the axe for this round 22. All class from Nick Kyrgios as he breezes past fellow Aussie Alex de Minaur in Canada. And Cam Smith's rumoured move to the Breakaway Live Tour ruffles the feathers of the world number one. Hello again. Well, it's back to business for Ken Hinkley after assurance from Chairman David Koch that his job is safe for 2023. The coach says he never felt his position was in jeopardy and believes Koch's comments earlier in the week were well-intentioned.
With Hinkley's future now no longer a talking point, the coach had no issues with the chairman's threat of change comments on Monday, instead labelling them a rally cry for the entire club.
David had great intent to talk about our program and where we're at. Our expectation of ourselves this year was far above where we are now. I can understand how the headline came out, but the reality is I don't think it was an intent at all to cause any problems, more than say we're not happy as a footy club with where we sit currently.
So now the focus returns to on-field performance, with the club desperate to get back on the winners list this weekend against the Bombers. Mitch Georgiadis has been named in the trimmed-down squad. He returns after a stint in the sample, while Trent McKenzie has been dropped. Robbie Gray has been managed, but should be available for the showdown. And in terms of his future, that will be up to him.
Robbie Gray has the absolute right to make his own decisions because he's been our greatest player of our football club in the AFL era in my simple view. So he'll make those decisions when they best suit Rob.
Andrew Hayes, 7 News.
Well, the Crows are accelerating towards 2023, with Matthew Nicks admitting that he's had confronting conversations with out-of-contract players as the club pursues more top-end talent. While the Roos have explained why number 1 pick Jason Horne-Francis was axed for tomorrow's Crows clash.
It's funny what a couple of wins can do, and while it's smiles and sunshine for some, there's a rocky road ahead for others.
Yeah, we like to be open and honest with where it sits. Makes those conversations easier rather than people sitting in the dark. Some of those are confronting.
Elliot Himmelberg and James Rowe are both out of contract and seem destined for new clubs in 2023 as Adelaide continues to appeal for local talent to return home.
We're always looking at how do we improve. We've said we target South Australians.
And there's one South Australian in particular, Jason Horne-Francis. He's got the footy world talking following his axing for refusing to do a post-match ice bath. It's understood the Crows and Power have asked the question about the number 1 pick, who, at this stage, is set to see out his contract at Arden Street. On field, Tom Doudet and Riley Thilthorpe are back. Matt Crouch is an emergency. While in one of the best footy stories of the year, North Melbourne welcomes back spiritual leader Ben Cunnington.
One of the legends of their club, who's been doing it tough and has done an amazing job to get himself back in footy. So another big challenge for us.
Tomorrow's clash is live and free on 7 at 1:30. Theo Doropoulos, 7 News.
Well, for his thoughts ahead of round 22, here's Carlton Premiership winner Scotty Camperelli.
The Crows get the win in the 200th game of Rory Laird.
This is the first time since rounds 5 and 6 the Crows have put together back-to-back wins. What a great opportunity to continue to build confidence in their program with a hat-trick not seen since 2020. North Melbourne has struggled in all facets of the game, and after 21 rounds, statistically it's impossible to make the case for a Roos win. They rank last in almost every key category. If Adelaide keep up its pressure and contest work and start well, the wheels could really fall off for the Roos and be a very fruitful day for Adelaide's firing forward line. So, unless something catastrophic happens, they'll go into next week looking to sweep the showdowns this season in one of the more intriguing matchups in this famous rivalry.
But there's ominous signs for the rest of the competition.
Well, it was a disappointing loss for the Power against a Richmond team that won key moments. Since starting 0-5, the Power turned a corner, but when the season was on the line, they lost 5 of their next 6 games. There's still plenty to learn in the final 2 rounds, starting with the Bombers. Essendon turned a corner during the season, and trips to play a big Melbourne club at Marvel Stadium are rarely easy. Tip the cap to Jeremy Finlayson and his transformation from forward to a midfielder. A win over the Bombers will create momentum heading into a showdown, and we know bragging rights will be important during a long summer of reflection.
Absolutely, Campo, thank you. Now going around the grounds, and Carlton's Patrick Cripps had his 2-game suspension overturned during a marathon appeal which lasted nearly 5 hours. Wet conditions on the Gold Coast won't force Paddy Dangerfield to pull up stumps. The midfielder will face the Suns despite a tight calf. Collingwood players and coach Craig McRae were back on deck just days after a flu ripped through the club. While tonight it's the Lions against the Saints. You can catch that one live and free right here on 7 straight after the news. Well, Nick Kyrgios's golden run of form has given him a seeding at the US Open. However, it wasn't all smooth sailing at the Canadian Open. Kyrgios repeatedly shouted at his box late in his fourth-round clash with compatriot Alex de Minaur. It didn't stop the Wimbledon finalists from completing the straight sets win in just over an hour.
Today was really hard mentally for me to go out here and play Alex. We're such good friends, and he's been having such a good career so far and carrying the Australian flag for so long.
Kyrgios has won 15 of his last 16 singles matches. Well, Cam Smith might be facing backlash over a rumoured switch to the Live Tour, but it didn't seem to be affecting him too much at the FedEx Cup playoffs in Memphis.
Oh! You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, very nice. World number one, Scotty Scheffler was happy to high-five Smith then, but made his feelings known about the rebel Aussie earlier, walking across his line as he was preparing to putt. Adam Scott is the best placed Australian at 5 under, 3 shots off the pace. And our one to watch this week is Race 4 at Morfordville. It's called How. Good luck if you have a little flutter there, guys. That's our look at sport for the week. Ready for another big weekend of footy.
Sure.
As always, thanks for that, Soda. Now, let's get a check of the day in finance. Here's Gemma Acton.
Thank you. What has been a decent week for Aussie shares ended on a disappointing note, with the ASX 200 shedding 39 points to close at 7,033. The energy sector escaped the gloom pervading most of the market, with Woodside shares today's big winners. The Aussie dollar has continued to climb. It has now pushed above 71 US cents, while oil prices got a bump overnight. That was after the International Energy Agency upped its forecasts for energy demand this year. And for some customers at ANZ, NAB and the Commonwealth, life has just got more expensive, with the most recent 0.5% rate hike being added onto variable home loan rates from today. At Westpac, it's next Thursday. The lowest variable rates remain just under 4% for now.
Thank you, Gemma. Well, Amelia's back after the break with walkers happy to hit the footpath for South Aussies living on the street.
And weather-wise, we are expecting more showers over the weekend, but there is a dry day in the mix next week too. I'll take you through it in the full forecast up next.
Amelia's back with the weather now.
And Mills, we're looking at more wet conditions over the weekend.
Oh, Rosie, the showers just keep coming this week. They've been hit and miss across the metro area today. Noarlunga's picked up 4.5 millimetres after 9 a.m, about 0.5 millimetre over Elizabeth. In the city, well, we stayed below 15 degrees today. Right now outside it's 11 degrees. Further afield, Clare picked up 11 millimetres today. Narracourt 15 as showers featured across the south of the state. Even the odd rumble around the Murray as well. Oodnadatta was the warmest with a top of just 20 degrees. Taking a look at the charts, and we've got a slow-moving low-pressure system that is driving this wet weather our way as it heads east over the weekend. It is set to make room for a high-pressure system, though. It'll ridge in early next week and will begin to clear those showers for a short time at least. Interstate tomorrow, and a soggy start to the weekend for most of the capitals. Rain on the way for Brisbane, showers for Perth, a couple of showers in the mix for Sydney as well, but sunny in Darwin, up to 34 there. Back home, maybe a shower for Yunta and Lee Creek tomorrow. Port Augusta could score a couple of showers too, up to 18 there, with showers likely across the south of the state, especially about the hills and ranges. Even the odd rumble is a chance about the Murray and southeast too. Top of 15 on the way for Port Lincoln and Port Pirie. 12's the top for Nuriutpa. 15 for Kingscote, Kadina and Victor Harbour. 16 for Murray Bridge and for Renmark, and 15 the top for Mount Gambier. And a warning to sheep farmers in the mid-north and Flinders for conditions tomorrow. In the city, 15's the forecast top as well. Now, we are expecting more showers during the day, maybe 3 to 4 millimetres worth, but they are looking less likely in the evening as winds swing a little more southerly, maybe giving us a reprieve. On metro waters, we're looking at southwesterly winds to 20 knots at first, easing to around 15 in the afternoon with seas to 1.5 metres. And taking a look at the surf, well, the mid is offering a windy wave over the weekend, bigger at Middleton and Yorks with swell dropping on Sunday. Taking a look ahead, we've got more showers on offer during the day Sunday. Fewer than Saturday though, 16's the top then. Again, we could score a couple of millimetres Monday, but Tuesday's looking drier, up to 18 Wednesday before the showers return. Now, before I go, let's check out tonight's ray of sunshine. This year, Walk a Mile in My Boots was held virtually again, and this morning this group did their part, trekking around Government House, sporting bright orange beanies and scarves. It's hoped funds raised from the annual event for the Hutt Street Centre will change lives for people like Christopher. He spent years living on the street.
The Aspire program has made my life so much better than it was a year ago. I'm truly, truly blessed to be where I am.
So far, more than $580,000 has been raised, but some people are holding off on their walk till the weather gets better next week, so there is still time to donate. Head to the Hutt Street Centre's website, guys.
Awesome cause. Thank you, Amelia. And that is all the news to now.
So stay with us as the Bombers take on the Lions live and free from Marvel Stadium.
From all the team, it's good night.
Good night, everyone.